So I'm going to start out by explaining what Put Thru is. Put Thru is a digital marketing play we built leveraging the enterprise level tech stack that we have built at Specificity, which is our parent company. Put Thru is an SMB play for companies under 1,500 employees, under 35 million. This is a play that mitigates risk, lowers the barrier to entry in terms of cost, but delivers the tech stack that is functionally necessary to be successful in any digital marketing endeavor in 2024. And that's a great place to start, as the world has changed in the last few years. It started with the 14.5 update from Apple. And what this did is it really put a stop to what we call in the industry app tracking data. Back before the iOS 14.5 update, you could go into Facebook, for example, and this really applies to all of ad tech and all platforms, but you could go into Facebook, for example, and select a homeowner. And they knew you were a homeowner because they had access to other apps. They knew you paid a mortgage. They knew you had a mortgage. And so when you clicked that little box that said a homeowner, at the very least, every ad you served was going to be served to a homeowner. Post 14.5 update and the elimination of app tracking data, that all became first-party contextual understanding. What that means is that essentially they identify these targeting selects that we as business owners and marketers use based on behavior on their platform. So for example, if you follow Home Depot, they assign a score to that. That means you're more likely a homeowner than not. Unfortunately, and I use this Home Depot example all the time because it's such a stark example, being a follower of Home Depot, half of their audience roughly follows them because their favorite NASCAR driver follows Home Depot or sponsors Home Depot sponsors their favorite NASCAR driver. That being the case, being a NASCAR fan is not a sequitur to home ownership. And so you can see with just that one simple example, how you start to deal in slop in the data accuracy issue on just the baseline targeting selects. So that iOS update really hit all of big tech pretty hard by eliminating their ability to leverage app tracking data for audience identification. It made the targeting select sloppy. It really hurt Meta particularly, who kind of sat at the universe of all this data because of the data they're able to share about their users. So all of these targeting selects started getting eliminated, and billions of dollars in ad spend declined on Facebook's platform because, let's face it, guys, your small business owners or your agencies or your marketers, you're not getting the same result you used to get on Facebook. And this is really what all of these issues have driven. This one fundamental fact, and as of today, this stat is at 54 to 56% of every ad you pay to serve is never seen by a human being. It's bot traffic, it's mechanical maids, it's all of that. And we're going to get into exactly what that means here momentarily. But as you see this ad spending being so drilled by waste, half of the budgets we're deploying on behalf of our clients, half of the budget you as small business owners is putting at Meta or Google PPC campaigns or LinkedIn or TikTok or X or any of them. These platforms are so wrought with bot traffic and click fraud that you're wasting half the budget right out of the gate, which became the new normal. The industry learned very quickly just to accept that, and all of the agency plays started getting made to fix that by doing, guess what? New creative or new messaging sequence. But the problem is, and we all know this, it doesn't matter how good your creative is. If you're serving it to half an audience that's not human beings, your conversion rate's going to drop. We've seen it across the board. And this is another stat we know to be true. 60 billion a year in wasted ad spend just from click fraud. So that's when you're paying per click across various platforms, because of half of that traffic being mechanical, it's fraud, it's called click fraud, you're wasting that money, and that's 60 billion a year in ad tech. It's a big problem. So click fraud, as I've already described, is mechanical traffic that is crawling Google search engine page, that is crawling ads that serve where you're paying PPC dollars for it, pay per click. And now you get into this last play Google made, as the regulatory environment has come to bear. Regulators, both state and federal, are seeing this waste. Guys, it's fraud. It's absolute fraud to tell a business owner If you come onto our platform and you click these boxes to identify your audience, we'll serve them ads. When half of that budget is fraud and they could stop it if they wanted to, regulators are getting wise to it. So big tech's response, it wasn't to open it up and deliver transparency. It wasn't to use their first-party device graph they all own to parse out all this bot traffic. No, Google deprecated cookies. Their first-party cookie is now gone this year in 2024. This was the last access that these platforms had. Meta was using this, for example, Google's first-party cookie. Marketers use it, have relied on it, have built audiences through it. Any AdWord campaign you've run and any data you've garnered as a result came through Google's cookie. And now it's gone. They're done. So their response was, well, we'll just shut off visibility to the entire market. And by doing so, they're going to avoid any kind of regulatory body coming in and saying, you can't do this and you can't do that, because they can't see anymore what it is. And it's a huge problem. So before we get rolling too deep into this, I want to define a couple of terms. So these are just more impacts that have been publicly made surrounding Google's cookie deprecation and what it's going to do to digital marketing. And this is what it all boils down to, is data accuracy. I want to take a minute and define a couple of things for everybody. The two things I want to define are terms we use in ad tech that as a small business owner or as an agency, you may or you may not know. But for the purposes of the put-through solution, I'm going to go ahead and define them. One is a BITO, B-I-T-O, and one is a MAID. And that's an acronym, M-A-I-D. A BITO, think of a BITO as a human being. On Meta's platform, the BITO is the profile. It's your profile is the BITO. MAID is an acronym that stands for Mobile Ad ID. Mobile ad IDs are the mechanism by which all of these platforms, hold on one second, we're getting, Brittany, can you let people into that meeting?
No, because you're the host.
Okay, hang on one second. I apologize, guys. Admit. Okay, we're gonna have to start over. I apologize, but it's just what we need to do here. Okay. All right, guys, sorry for the delay and get it started. We thought everybody was in. I wasn't aware that I needed to let people in this format. So we're just gonna back up and start over, and I'll be brief through the description. Most of you understand the lion's share of this anyway, and it's instructive just to really understand some of this up front. So I'm going to kind of start over here, but I'm going to start over with what I was talking about because it's a great place to start. We're going to start by defining a couple of key terms for everybody in the room, just so we're all talking about the same thing and on the same page. That is BITO and MAID. So when we're talking about digital marketing, this entire world has changed, but there are some variables that have remained constant, and that is the technology behind how all of it works. A BITO is the human being. On Facebook's platform, it's the profile. Instagram, same thing, it's the profile. Social media, it's typically your profile. In ad tech, BITO is a serial number attributed to a human being. The other term we want to define is a MAID. MAID is an acronym, M-A-I-D, that stands for Mobile Ad ID. MAIDs are attributed to the BITO, and the MAID are the devices that you use in your life. It's your smartphone, has a mobile ad ID, your tablet, your desktop, your connected TV. They all have mobile ad IDs, and it's how we address audiences and serve them ads. What we have seen in ad tech in the last few years has completely changed, not the definitions, but what they're delivering through those vehicles, the MAIDs and the BITOs. And it started with this. And for those of you that joined early, I apologize for having to go back through this, but I think it's important that we build out this foundation. The iOS 14.5 update changed everything. It eliminated essentially what all of these platforms used. It's called app tracking. App tracking was the ability of big tech. So Google, when you install any Google apps on your phone or your tablet or your computer, or when you sign into Google or when you sign into Gmail on a laptop, Facebook, if you download the app or sign in through a device, this granted through their permissions, granted big tech permission to look and scan all of the other apps that you have downloaded, your banking app and your behavior app, if you're into golf, your golf app, et cetera, et cetera. This is how they were able to aggregate so much data about consumers. And so back before the iOS update, if you wanted to identify somebody by a baseline select, and I used this example moments ago of a homeowner, they knew you were a homeowner because they had your banking app. They could see you had a mortgage, you paid a mortgage, or you had a mortgage app, or whatever it was. They knew you were a homeowner. Today, because we don't have app tracking data, and now we're 2.5, 3 years into not having app tracking data, if you build your audiences on any of these platforms, homeowner doesn't necessarily mean homeowner. It means that you're illuminating behavior that they weight more towards a homeowner. So if you follow Home Depot on Facebook, they score that more heavily towards a homeowner than somebody that doesn't follow Home Depot. It's things like this. They're aggregating. But the reason somebody follows Home Depot might be because their favorite NASCAR driver is sponsored by them. And being a NASCAR fan, I assure you, is not a sequitur, as I said before, to being a homeowner. So it all becomes guesswork and proximities, and more likely than not. And the iOS update was the first shot across the bow into big tech's universe to say, you don't get to have all the data, you don't get to own it all. And that impact that was felt from that hit Meta most directly because they aggregated along with Google all of this data. They were really sitting at the center of the universe of it. So they started removing targeting selects. To date, you're talking hundreds of thousands of targeting selects are completely gone from Facebook's algorithm. They just simply don't exist. So now you're back into generic audiences like baseline selects, and those aren't even they're accurate anymore because of the contextual weighting. So it all brings us to right now, and it all brings us to some market realities. This slide right here should shake everybody at their core, because this is a fact. The actual number sits at 54 to 56% today in 2024. Over half of every ad you're paying to serve. And I don't care if you're an agency and you're really good at the algorithm, or you're a business owner and you're just trying to do your best by identifying the right audience, or if you're a marketer, over half the ads you're paying to serve across all of the ad tech universe, social media, display, programmatic, connected TV, over half of these ads are never seen by a human being. Back to the BIDO and MAID, the BIDO being the human being or the profile, the mobile ad IDs. What we know in the world is the average person, the average human being, consumer, we have 3 or 4 mobile ad IDs, MAIDs, in our lives that we're active on. We've got a laptop, we've got a tablet, we definitely have a smartphone. Some of us might have a connected TV in a business. We might have a couple of laptops or tablets. But the average is 3.4 across the board. That's what we know. What Meta tells you is that that number sails way north of that to something like 18 to 21 MAIDs per BIDO. So per profile, Meta is serving ads to 18 to 21 MAIDs that their algo thinks are connected to you. They're not. It's your old phone. It's a TV you never used streaming services for, and you threw it away, but it was connected to the internet at one point. It's a laptop that you turned into your former employer. It's all of these MAIDs that you'll never see the ad, but that Meta's algorithm and Google's algorithm treats as though it's you. And they do that because they monetize on that spend. If Meta and Google and all of these companies were to use their own first-party device, perhaps, to leverage signal data to parse their platforms of bot traffic, they would lose hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue annually immediately. It would happen instantaneously. They would not have the inventory of MAIDs meeting criteria to serve an ad to meet the demand. So that's where their vested interest lies, to just close the regulatory loop on this, close Congress's eyes to what's going on, instead of delivering transparency and parsing bot traffic. And the issue that we're seeing with this bot traffic has far-reaching impacts across all kinds of digital marketing channels. But it's ad fraud. Make no mistake about it. Click fraud alone accounts for $60 billion in waste. Anybody that's ever run a pay-per-click campaign with Google knows that when your bounce rate goes sky high, it's almost always when you're running PPC campaigns. That's because 50, 60, some estimates have it at 65% of all click traffic generated from PPC campaigns is click fraud. It's mechanical traffic. And that mechanical traffic can't really consume content. So even Google's own analytics historically, now they've made some changes to manipulate that, couldn't count that as a real session. So your bounce rate goes sky high. This is 60 billion alone, and that's just PPC and click fraud as a whole. So the click fraud that I've already described has far-reaching implications across everything you're doing where you're paying by the click. And then you get to this new announcement Google made late last year that they've executed on this year, Google's cookie deprecation. Google has a first-party cookie that all the ads are served through. So you pay a cost per 1,000 impression model to build an audience and serve in an ad. You pay a much lower cost per 1,000 impression model to remarket that audience you've already built. By getting rid of the cookie, that lower CPM is gone. Meta leaned on this cookie as well after the iOS update took their app tracking data away. And now Meta is going to get worse. And this cookie deprecation is ongoing and will be completed by I think I read that in the third quarter, but definitely 2024. What does that mean to marketers? That means all the money you've put into building audiences that you can remarket and drive conversions out of and all of these things, it's going to be gone. So the whole world went first-party data overnight with this one move. It is my opinion Google made the move simply to close off transparency as the regulatory environment starts to tighten up, because states and even the federal government, they might act slow, but sooner or later they realize this is genuinely fraud taking place in these markets with ad tech. It's real fraud. So the closing off of the first-party cookie, the cessation of enhanced CPC last fall, these are all moves they're making, not to make your campaigns better, but to take your visibility on what's really going on away. It's a big play they're making, and they need the bot traffic to feed their revenue model, or their share prices will crash. Believe me, not even Meta can withstand a $100 billion decrease in ad revenue that would come about at a minimum. It's more like 200 billion if they got rid of bot traffic. So this all speaks to data accuracy deprecation, which is a big mouthful to say. You aren't marketing to who you think you're marketing to when you go on to big tech and you launch these campaigns. You don't really know. It's proximity, it's bot traffic, it's a very specious play. And the best marketing agencies in the world that promise you better results through better creative, none of that solves this problem. The problem you have to solve is a technology one. So it's going to require a technology solution to meet it and overcome it. And that's what we've built. The whole world then, because of all of this, should understand and be on notice that as business owners, as marketers, on behalf of business owners and clients, our sole function in marketing, our attention needs to turn, as we're placing ad spend, to building our clients a first-party data set that they own. Data that we can de-anonymize, that is their in-market data, that is ultimately going to aggregate the entire homeowner audience if you're in home services, or an intent to buy cars if you're in the auto industry. It does across the board. If you're in financial services, understanding with real granularity who's got $500,000 in market in retirement savings to sell annuities to, versus who's 32 with their first kid and just starting to build that. All of these things that you fundamentally need to know, we endeavor to put right at your fingertips, and we know the entire industry is going to go this way. We're just not only early in with our enterprise level tech stack and specificity, we are the first problem solver, but we are also now the first SMB play that's been built for the SMB market using this tech stack, and that's called Put Thru. We solve all of these problems. These are all problems you don't have to get involved in. You don't have to do anything. This is not anything that we have to do, except for one piece we added to our tech stack. We partnered with a company that built their own first-party data graph. The first-party device graph, the first-party data graph, what that does is it's how all of these bidders and maids move, but it clarifies the relationship excuse me, between platform and the mobile ad ID and how it's appended to the maid. So Facebook has a first-party device graph. Google has a first-party device graph. Acxiom has a first-party device graph. Acxiom won't parse bot traffic because they monetize by selling you data per record. I've already explained why Google and Meta will never use their device graph to parse out all the mechanical and the specious maids that aren't tied to real human beings. Our partner has gotten rid of minimum so we can scale this to the SMB market, but we can do exactly that. We can identify audiences, pull them through this first party device graph, which gets rid of bot traffic. Now you've got what we like to refer to as naked addressable audiences. These are human beings and the multiple devices they are actively engaged in. This is enriched ad serving opportunity at the same CPM level you're paying to waste half your spend. It is a smart play. It solves immediately the 54 to 56% of your current ad dollars being wasted. And we built a 4-step process to make it easy. The first is audience identification. The first thing we do for any of our clients or any of our agency partners for their clients is talk to them to understand what is your best audience in terms of your sales opportunity. So in financial services markets, for example, a lot of the money in the retirement sector for retirement savings moves at 59 and a half years old. That's when the federal government allows you to take control without, you put all that pre-tax money in and you don't get penalized to move it. Everybody does it when they turn 59 and a half to get it into their control and out of their company 401k. That's a huge sequitur to conversion opportunity. We can identify those audiences. So we can do it through intent. We can do it through demographic. If you're looking for companies or consumers rather that are in the market for a particular product, we have intent categories to identify them. All of it gets pulled through the device graph. All of it delivers those exact perfect audiences that you as marketers and business owners know that you want to spend money talking to. And it guarantees we're going to deliver that marketing stack directly to those audiences. And we're not going to waste any of it. So we can identify audiences through location-based, through demographic information, through intent categories, through behavior, hobbies, all of it. We are literally wide open in terms of how we can identify the audience, but we take the step of pulling it through the device graph to button it up. So no matter what tactic you're going to use for the audience build out, what we do guarantee, and here's something no other company will say, we're going to serve ads to human beings, not bots. You will not see ad waste take place. You will not see your bounce rate go up. And we are going to de-anonymize that data and give you control of it. So the second piece is the strategy build out. And we're going to get to how we de-anonymize here momentarily. When we build the strategy, that delivers to my team a demographic understanding, a technology adoption rate understanding, all of these iterative understandings of what that audience looks like in terms of what kind of devices they're on, where they're spending their time. And that allows us to set forward a set of tactics that we want to go out and utilize to engage this audience. So you can do one of two things. You can go onto all these platforms and build these audiences. I've already shown you why that's a waste of money. What we do is we have a $3 million seat at Beeswax, the largest DSP in the country, with a 200,000 QPS seat, queries per second. It means we have access to all of the available ad inventory, not just the 25% that 95% of agencies are fighting over, and we can serve them an ad. The minute we serve them the ad, we can de-anonymize legally that data and move it over into a HubSpot seat or a Go High Level seat or a Salesforce if you've already got a CDP. If not, we'll get you a seat on a CDP, but we'll get you control of all of the data we're marketing to. So this tech stack can deliver every tactical strategy that you're going to need to convert. Typically, most agencies have a couple of tricks up their sleeve. They're going to do social media for you, and then they're going to use texting, or they're going to do email. Or we've got an all-in approach to all of it, because out of 100% of your audience, 10% is amenable to texting, 20% is amenable for nurturing for emails, 20% needs to be contacted on social media, or whatever those numbers are. That's an example, but your audience will tell us that. It tells us how to capitalize that spend. We have no minimums for any tactic. That means we can scale across all of the tactics in real time. These are examples of the tech stack we bring to the table in our package levels that are $2,000-3,000 instead of $5,000-10,000. So the very left side, we see the outreach. That's Meta, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, LinkedIn, DSP, and display. So how are we serving ads on Facebook if we're so against building audiences? We serve the ad through the DSP where we know the audience is pure. We place a retargeting pixel, Meta's retargeting pixel, in that ad. so that when those humans are on Meta's platform, it will serve them an ad, but it doesn't give Meta the user permission to do what's called like audiences or Advantage Plus, which means they're going to deal in all the bot traffic. They can only serve ads to the audience that has interfaced with this retargeting pixel. We can do that on Meta, like Instagram and Facebook and Threads. We can do that on TikTok and LinkedIn and through display networks and connected TV and all of it, programmatic. And we can do it across the board, but we relegate that spend to that. Then you get into tactics. We have the ability to sequence and pace the awareness to identify opportunities to bring in ringless voicemail, email marketing, automated marketing. We build landing pages at these prices to drive off-platform conversion opportunities. We use search where search makes sense. We use all of these tactics to get at this audience, and ultimately it delivers you as a small business, a medium-sized business, or an agency handling those kind of accounts, an all-in tech stack that most enterprise-level companies don't have, because we're the only ones with access to that first-party data graph. These are all of the partnerships that we have formed through this process. We have smashed minimums across the board. It makes it scalable to the SMB market. The last step is the data ownership step. We started to talk about this. Once you have a seat on a customer data platform, and if you don't have one, our package price is included. So we will get you a seat on HubSpot or whatever CRM you like. We like HubSpot because it's very simple to use. But we'll build a connector out of your marketing software into your customer data platform. So when we de-anonymize that, we will move through a connector all of that data into your control. Now, every time your company makes a sale or gets a phone call or gets an email or has a physical visitor show up and converts, you can go into this HubSpot seat, for example, and pull that customer up. And not only do you know they came out of your marketing budget, but you can see the customer journey they took to get there. Well, they were served 2 DSP ads and maybe a meta ad, and maybe they replied to a text, and bam, now here they are converting. But it gives business owners transparency on exactly what's going on with all of your marketing spend. It is just a 1-2 punch that gives you that access to your own first-party data set that, believe me, moving forward, it's not a good idea to have it. You're going to have it. So resolving that site traffic does that. It also delivers, I might add, the proof of concept right out of the gate that this isn't bot traffic. Here's the name, here's the address, here's their email address where it's available, here's the phone number where it's available, here's the data profile that we pulled where they fall into that category. Here's everything you need to know about the customer. So the attribution is the last piece. Understanding that conversion and the customer journey isn't just important, it's mission critical to knowing what to do the next week, the next month with your marketing dollars. Where you see email sequencing not being successful, you move the budget over into ad tech. Where ad tech has hit a wall for saturation, you move it into tactical strategies for conversion. It gives you the flexibility and, more importantly, the analytic understanding that it provides to you and to my team to make decisions on how to improve performance on this campaign every day, every week, and every month moving forward. And as this data builds out, you ultimately end up with owning your entire market data set over time as we deal in new audiences every month to this to convert. It is the smartest play you can make in ad tech. It's the only play that eliminates the waste, and it's the only play where the analytics actually mean something. If you have so much bot traffic and click fraud going on, and you're looking at your click-through rate, what does that really tell you if half the ads you're serving are bots? You don't know. These are naked addressable audiences. So what we always tell our team is we can't run from failure, and we can certainly illuminate success. Because when an ad doesn't work, it's obvious. It's time to evolve and move that ad out and move the new ad in, because we know we're dealing with human beings. And not only that, we know we're dealing with the right human beings. So if a messaging sequence or an ad isn't working, trust us, it's the ad. But that information versus the guesswork you have to do when it's bot traffic is invaluable to your campaigns on a go-forward basis. This 4-step process is bucketed into packages that are affordable and they can scale. So if you're a $25 million a year company, you can come into one of these small packages, test it out, watch conversion modeling, And then you could grow that spend into market domination leveraging this tech stack. But either way, it's going to give you a clear vision on what's going on. So I'm not going to go through HubSpot. We like HubSpot. If you don't have a CDP, we can build connectors with virtually every customer data platform out there, but we do have a deal with HubSpot. We build these connectors so you can look at this customer journey through everything, the analysis, the email, customers, profile information, the guided selling process, what implications it has on SEO, what kind of PR you should be putting out to based on what messaging is playing well. All of this stuff comes as a result of making a more data-centric and more data-accurate play. And it's simple. These are the packages. For all three packages, you're going to get a customer data platform. You're going to get what changes here is the scale, the audience size. But at the smallest package, you're talking to 5,000 intent potential customers every single month through all of the channels we've described, through all of the strategy and approach we've described. You can scale it up in volume, but at the end of the day, we have lowered the barrier to entrance to get at what enterprise level companies have been using for the last 8 months to solve these problems. So we don't just do marketing, as we like to say, we build marketing machines, and these machines are owned by our clients. They're operated in a partnership with us, but owned by the client, as is the data. And guys, in 2024 and beyond, it is not just a good idea, it is mission critical to the health of your business that you own your marketing data. If you don't, big tech is going to steer you where it monetizes best for them. This play puts the focus on your conversion model. So listen, I want to thank everybody for joining today. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop them into the chat here. We'll be sending out an email with the slide deck with all the information. If you'd like to set up a one-on-one walkthrough and get specific about the details that are impacting your business in real time, we're happy to facilitate that and do a deep dive into what really matters to the health of your business. So with that said, we again appreciate everybody's time, and we look forward to talking to you in the future. Okay? Everybody have a great day.